Lesson 31 is about equations with parentheses, and the problems that we're going to have look something like this. What we have to do is solve this. 2 times the difference of 3 and b is equal to the difference of b and 5. If we want to go ahead and do this, we know we've got to simplify within parentheses first. Remember PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, add and subtract. Well, in this one, we can't do everything within parentheses first because we can't simplify 3 minus b. We don't know what b is yet. So what we have to do here is use a distributive property. Let's go ahead and do that. Now remember, the distributive property says we can multiply whatever on the outside into what we have in the parentheses. So we're going to get 2 times 3 minus 2 times b. That's going to be equal to b minus 5. I'll put some tails on the b's, so they're obviously not 6's. 2 times 3 is 6. We have 6 minus 2b is equal to b minus 5. Now what we have to do is figure out what b is equal to. So we want to go ahead and move all the b's to the left-hand side, and we want to move all the constants to the right-hand side. Let's start by moving the constants to the right-hand side so we can figure out what b is. I'm going to subtract 6 because the opposite of positive 6 is negative 6. When I say 6 minus 6, that's 0. What I have to do on one side, I'm going to do on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 6. What we're going to be left with is negative 2b is equal to b minus 11. Because negative 5 minus 6 more is negative 11. Then we've got to move this b over to that side. So the opposite of positive b, well, the opposite of positive b is negative b. So we've got a negative b, we've got a negative b, and we can go ahead and solve. Negative 2b minus 1 more b would be negative 3b. So we get negative 3b is equal to negative 11. We've almost figured out our answer. We want to know what b is, so we have to undo the multiplication of negative 3 times b. To undo the multiplication, we use the opposite of multiplication, that's division. So we're going to divide by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. 11 divided by negative 3. Negative 11 divided by negative 3, that's going to tell us what b is. So we've really got our final answer. b is equal to, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, because the opposite of a negative is a positive, and we get 11/3. We've got our final answer. We don't need to turn this into a mixed number. We could. It would be 3 2/3. But an improper fraction is a fantastic way to report your answer. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. Here, looks a little bit more complex. We're going to go through the same steps. We're going to multiply in with the distributive property. So first we have 15 times 4. Then we have minus 15 times 5x is equal to, we have to do it twice this time, 16 times 4 minus 16 times 6x. This is all going to have 10 added on to it. We've got our first line. Now we can go ahead and figure out these operations. 15 times 4 is equal to 60 minus 15 times 5. Do you know what 15 times 5 is? Let's look at that. 15 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. We'll carry our 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more gives us 75. So we've got 60 minus 75x, because it was 15 times 5x, is equal to 16 times 4 is 64, minus 16 times 6. 16 times 6, let's look at that as well. 16 times 6, 6 times 6 is 36. We'll carry our 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 more is 9. We get 96. So minus 96x plus 10. Let's simplify as much as we can. We're going to have 60 minus 75x. We can't add those on the left because they're not like terms. But what we have is 64 plus 10. So we're going to get negative 96x plus 74. Because we had 64 constants, we had 10 constants, we add them together to simplify to 74 constants. Now, let's go ahead and move the x's to the left. We're going to start off first by adding 96x to both sides. When we do that operation, well, we have no more x's on the right hand side. That's good. We're going to get 60. Let's use the blue color still. 60. And then we have negative 75x plus 96x. That's going to be plus 21x is equal to 74. We're trying to get the x's by themselves, so we've got to undo the addition of 60. To undo addition of 60, let's subtract 60. Because 60 minus 60 is 0. We're going to subtract 60 here as well. We can go ahead and draw our line. We'll do the math. 21x comes straight down. 60 minus 60 is 0, so we don't have to write that. And it's all equal to 74 minus 60. That's 14. Now we've got to get x by itself, so we need to undo the multiplication of 21. Let's go ahead and divide by 21. 21 divided by 21 is 1, so we're just left with 1x. 14 over 21 is what x is equal to. So x is equal to 14 over 21. We know we can divide both of those numbers by 7, so if we do that, we're going to get an answer of 2/3. So our final answer, x must be equal to 2/3, and we've solved this problem. We're all done. Our lesson practice will be on page 130. We'll practice these concepts some more. Make sure you've got your notes completed, and I'll see you during our next class.